Welcome to Real Estate Real Talk. I'm Marilee Rowley, and I'm excited to talk to you today about a topic that is a little bit disturbing. And also, Merry Christmas. It's the Christmas holiday, so we're excited about that happening as well. So, we're just going to take a few minutes and talk about real estate property scams and how you can be aware and be careful and cautious when confronted with something like that. So, one of them is really common, and you may have encountered this if you are looking especially for a rental property. You might see a house somewhere online and think, oh, that looks like a great place for me to rent. And you contact the tenant, or I'm sorry, contact the landlord, and they say, yeah, I'll be happy to meet you there. There will be a key box that you can access. Here's the code. Go on in. You go in, you're like, yeah, this is the one that I'm interested in. And then you start down the road to do the paperwork, and they say, okay, it's just going to be a deposit. And as soon as we receive the deposit, you can have the keys. And then turns out that they never had any ability to rent that property. It's a vacant property. It might be on the market for sale. It might just be vacant. And they take your deposit and you never get to live there. So when you are going to rent a property, you want to make sure that you are talking to someone who actually has the authority to rent that property to you. This is a really common rental scam. There are different iterations of it, but those are the things to look out for. Okay, what's another thing? On the other side of the coin, you might find that you own a property outright. No mortgages on it, no loans, no liens, nothing like that. It's just your property that you own outright. Well, if you do, that is a property that is more vulnerable to deed fraud, because that's an opportunity for somebody to put a new deed on your property that you may never be notified about. They can forge your signatures from previous recorded documents, and then they can record a new deed with your county recorder's office. Once somebody has a new deed in place, that means they can lien your property. So say you own a building lot, a vacant building lot, you own it free and clear, the deed's in your name, somebody comes along, they create a fake deed with your supposed signatures, they record that new deed with the county recorder's office, and then they can get a mortgage against that property in their own name. And so you want to be sure that if you own a property free and clear, that you have a service called Property Watch that you've established with the county that your property is located in. And that's just a service where they'll notify you if anything gets recorded on your property. And if it's something that you authorized, great, no problem. But if it's something you didn't authorize, then at least you'll be notified about it. Otherwise, things can just hang out on your property record for years and nobody would ever notify you. Now, if you do have a mortgage, a legitimate mortgage on that property, then you're much less likely to encounter something like this, because a title company and a county is going to pay attention to the order that things are recorded. And if there's already a lien on your property, it's less likely that another lien would be able to be recorded properly by the county. So just sign up for Property Watch with your county recorder. It's a free service and you can do it at any time, and you'll provide all of your contact information, but they will keep it safe. They won't sell it. It'll only be used for purposes of notifying you in case something gets recorded on your property. So that is something you can do. Another thing that people will do on a vacant property is pretend to be you, not record anything on it, but just pretend to be you, and then sell it. And then they'll take the money, and there will be a poor buyer out there who thinks they own your property. You still own it. If you have title insurance, they will help you to fight against any activity like that. But there will be a buyer who has paid for it to this scam entity. And so you want to also make sure that you guard against that, and Property Watch can help you with that as well. Those are some things to be on the lookout for when you are thinking about property, buying a property or renting a property or just owning a property. There are also foreclosure scams. So you might know someone or yourself be a couple payments behind on your mortgage. And in the state of Utah, if you are 120 days behind on your mortgage payments, then the mortgage company can come in and foreclose on your property, which means they would take back the ownership of your property. And if that happened, then you would have to vacate the property and leave, and it really hurts your credit, and it's a bad deal. But everybody gets behind sometimes on their payments. So there are ways that you can reach out and get legitimate help. But some help that is not so good that's on offer out there is somebody who comes in and says that they will save you from foreclosure, and they have you sign some documents, and before you know it, they're on title for your property. Now they are a partial owner of your property, or even you may have sold it to them not even knowing that's what you did, and because you're trying to stop that foreclosure from happening. And then they own your property and legally can do whatever they decided to do with it. Now, obviously they didn't acquire it legally, but they do have legal ownership of your property. So you would have to go through some steps with an attorney to try to figure that mess out. So just don't believe things that are too good to be true. If you are in trouble or you know somebody who is in financial trouble and behind on your mortgage payments, just reach out to a trusted advisor. Don't necessarily believe somebody who comes to your home and offers to help you get out of that trouble by signing a few documents and then you don't have to make any payments anymore. That's not going to be in your best interest. So reach out to a trusted professional and find out what your real options are. Now, how would they know? How do people know if you're in trouble on your mortgage payments? Well, it's a matter of public record. Anytime you have a mortgage in the state of Utah, if you go 90 days behind on making your payments, that's called a notice of default filing. That means that it's a public record that goes out once you're 90 days behind, and that can alert people who are looking for people who are behind on their mortgage payments to come in and scam them. So there's no way to stop that notice of default going out. So again, if that's a problem that you're experiencing, don't feel embarrassed about that. Just reach out and get some legitimate help. There are people who can help, and everybody goes through temporary problems like that. So it's not anything to be ashamed of. It is something that can be solved. Don't believe somebody who comes to your home and offers to help you in a way that seems too good to be true, because it probably is. Thanks for watching today or this episode of Real Estate Real Talk. It's always a pleasure to have you tune in. I have Kat Aspel and Camaro Holt who are producing this episode. Thank you, ladies, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. Of course, you can always find us on all of our socials. We're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitch, we're on LinkedIn. Find us everywhere, Selling Salt Lake, and we would love to hook up with you.